Following the demise of Mr. Swackhammer, Michael Jordan continued in his pursuit of the game of basketball. Meanwhile, in Looney Tune land, the Nerdlucks have enrolled at Acme University, where hopefully they can learn a thing or two about comedy from Bugs and the gang. All was peaceful in Looney Tune land until he came to visit. A strange and nefarious mastermind known as Berserk-O has invaded the home of the Tunes, along with his henchmen, Oh No and Oh Yes. Their plan is to destroy the Looney Tunes. Berserk-O's rage for laughter and anything whimsical is the reason for this invasion. The Tunes cannot handle their strange and unorthodox ultra powers. Tweety Bird manages to escape to Earth level, where he calls upon the help of MJ. Michael Jordan returns to Looney Tune land, ready for battle, in a more challenging basketball game than before, against the new team, the Goon Squad. Can the Nerdlucks become the Monstars once more? Because unlike last time, this time, MJ is going to need all the help he can get. What's up, guys? This is SuperPat98, and today I want to talk to you about my custom-made Space Jam 2 VHS tape. If you've watched my channel before, I've showed this tape off in two other separate videos, but I never really talked about why I created this and really what's the point behind this, what's the history behind this. Space Jam 2 actually began production a year after the original movie was completed, so they actually wrote a script and they developed a character named Berserk-O, and he was supposed to be voiced by Mel Brooks. They did this in 1997 because they thought that Michael Jordan was in on the project.
What's going on here?
And once Michael Jordan's people told them that Michael is not actually interested in making a sequel to Space Jam, or in other words, not appearing at all in the sequel to Space Jam, they completely canceled the project.
Oh, brother.
Shattering my heart to tiny itty-bitty pieces for 25 fucking years until we get the next Space Jam movie with LeBron James. I think they should have made Space Jam 2. I don't see what the problem would have been to not have Michael Jordan in it, because Michael Jordan is only one of the best things about Space Jam. He wasn't the only thing that was good about the film.
You'll be our star attraction.
It bothers the shit out of me. Hello, these are the Looney Tunes? Remember them? Remember how much people love them?
You know all those mugs and T-shirts and lunchboxes with our pictures on them?
Does anyone ever think about that? Why is it people only talk about fucking Michael Jordan when they talk about Space Jam? I mean, really?
He is not washed up. Michael's the greatest ever.
Shut up.
No.
It helped adults see the film because Michael Jordan was a huge basketball name. And it helped adult humor as well. So it brought kids and adults together, which was the magic of the 90s in kids' movies. But what about the damn Looney Tunes? The Looney Tunes have a history of adult humor, so they themselves already had adult humor. So bringing them to the silver screen again, a celebrity was not needed. This could have just been the Space Jam adventure starring Bugs Bunny and friends. You didn't even have to have a celebrity in it. And the film still would have been successful. Was it 10 times more successful with Jordan? Of course, but Michael Jordan is not what made Space Jam magical. It was the Looney Tunes. It was the story. And Michael Jordan. It was a combination of everything. Anyway, so this tape is basically a fantasy. Considering that they first developed Space Jam 2 in 1997, I propose that the film would have been released effectively in 1998, because they needed a year to film and complete the movie, right? So Mel Brooks would have gotten top billing. It made sense. They got Danny DeVito to voice the main villain of the first film, so they wanted another famous comedian to voice the villain in the second film. This is actual concept artwork drawn for Berserk-O. And unlike Swackhammer, who basically just wanted to use the Looney Tunes actually as the mascots for his theme park because he saw how popular they were, Berserko was quite the opposite. The way his character was written is that he despised the Looney Tunes and wanted to destroy them because he despised laughter. This is a different change of pace. It ups the ante. It's actually more threatening to the Looney Tunes because in the first film, the threat was that they were going to be slaves. But in the sequel, the threat was that they were going to be murdered, pretty much. So perhaps this film would have taken a slightly darker tone. So on my cover here, I showed off the Nerdlucks here because now in the sequel, the Nerdlucks would be good guys. And also I put Pinky and the Brain in here. Because why not? The Animaniacs were huge. Imagine if they were the announcers instead of the two mice in the original Space Jam. And here you got the side of the tape with Berserko on the bottom. I put all this extra little shit at the bottom to make it, look like it's from the 90s, right? Even the family entertainment stuff. And when you put the original tape side by side with my fan version of the tape, I matched them closely.
Very, very close.
As much as I could. But I wanted the space in the background to not look exactly the same. So I made it a little lighter in color. Now, hopefully, in 1998, when Space Jam 2 was released, Marvin would have been playing as a member on the Toon Squad.
Mind if I use my own ball?
And if this was released in 1998, Space Jam 2, it would have came out the same year as The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. So it would have been a year of sequels. 1998, the two biggest sequels of the two biggest films of the 90s come out. 1998 also gave us Mulan and the Rugrats movie. So really, Space Jam 2 would have fit right in with all these other amazing 90s animated films in 1998. And then Space Jam 3 would have been Space Jam New Legacy much later on. Even though Michael really was not an actor and he fancied himself more as a businessman and an athlete, but why couldn't he have just appeared in one scene in the film? Just one damn scene. Because of Michael Jordan, what Space Jam was, it became completely abandoned, what seemed like an eternity. So it was really Michael Jordan's fault, and Warner Brothers, pretty much, because there should have been other people at Warner Brothers that should have said, hey, kids of the 90s love Space Jam. Let's make the sequel anyway. They could have even released it on VHS. After all, Lion King 2 was just released on VHS alone, not in the movie theaters. And although this film is mixed by fans, a lot of people love it, and so do I. And I think it's a great sequel. So the same shit could have happened with Space Jam 2. No fucking excuses. Okay? Since this is a theoretical film and it doesn't actually exist, I tried to fit as much words on the back of the tape to really bring you into what the film could have looked like and the plot would have been. As you can see, the Animaniacs are here. This is another concept art that Warner Brothers officially created for Berserko. I colored in this one. This is my colored version, because this original drawing was in black and white. This was colored in by someone on DeviantArt, and I don't remember the person's name, but excellent job. Not a bad idea for the color scheme. Mine does look a little different, though. As you can see, the Illuminati eye is on full display here. They even made a fake review from a movie person. Space Jam returns for another slam dunk at the box office. It's a dazzling affair. Ebert Roper. And I also added this little cool stuff they put for films on the bottom, I like to talk about a little bit of the stuff I added here. As you can see from the beginning of my description of the story, it takes place right after Space Jam 1. So in the original Space Jam, when the Looney Tunes are under the Earth, they always refer to it as Looney Tune Land, whereas in Space Jam: A New Legacy, they refer to it as Looney Tune World, like their own home planet. So technically, it has a name. It's not just Toon, Looney Lure, World, Land, or whatever. No, it has a literal name. It's said twice in the original film, Looney Tune Land.
No sweat. This is Looney Tune Land.
So I got the title right, and the Nerdlucks have enrolled at Acme Looniversity. All you Looney Tunes fans know where that's from, right? From the Tiny Toon Adventures, which was extremely popular at the time, right? And especially in the late 90s, they started airing Tiny Toon Adventures as reruns on the Kids WB. Could this film have included a scene with the Tiny Toons? And Acme University, like this could have been a tie-in to Tiny Toon Adventures. And that's why I include a image of Porky being the teacher to the Nerdlucks on the side of the tape. Wouldn't it have been amazing just to see that? And it makes sense what I wrote, because now the Nerdlucks want to be like the Looney Tunes. Even though Bugs said and declared at the end of the original film, I don't think you guys are loony enough. They tried. And now with some schooling, hopefully they can learn a thing or two about comedy from Bugs and the gang. And all was peaceful, etc. So I wrote down his henchmen, Oh No and Oh Yes. Concept artwork for one of the henchmen was drawn, and these were their actual names that they came up with. Oh No and Oh Yes. Very weird, right? I think that actually works, that they're weird, because the Looney Tunes are weird, so all the characters are supposed to be odd and mysterious, especially since we can assume that Berserko is probably an alien, or, something like that. The villains of the original Space Jam were aliens, so it's pretty perfect, actually. I have to explain they have strange ultra powers that intimidates the Looney Tunes, and they need some help, right? Because they're destroying Looney Tune land, pretty much. Just like how the Monstars were a big threat to the Looney Tunes. The Goon Squad I mentioned here, like this film could have been where the Goon Squad from New Legacy first appear in. The Goon Squad could have came from Berserko, and the henchmen found the new talent for them. Because I think the Goon Squad were the coolest part of a New Legacy. And then also I wrote how the Nerdlucks would become the Monstars again and play on the team with the Toons against the Goon Squad. So it could have been an all-star team of the Nerdlucks, the Looney Tunes, Jordan, the Animaniacs, all teaming up on the same team, including the Tiny Toons, possibly, on a bigger team with more antics, more special effects, and it could have been an amazing film that actually could have toppled the first movie.
Right. And I'm a Shakespearean actor.
I mean, who knows? This is like a dream movie, a fantasy film. I even included the proof of purchase at the top. Isn't that something? Let me know what you guys think, because I think I'm the only one on Earth that actually did something like this for Space Jam 2. At least a original Space Jam 2. Because I like to call myself the #1 Space Jam fan, and maybe I am, but I know I'm not alone, right? I just don't understand why I don't get more comments about my Space Jam videos. I pour a lot of passion into them, but for some reason, people just don't really care that much. And this is my custom-made Space Jam New Legacy tape. But again, the reason I bring it here is because this could have been the third movie. It could have been Space Jam 3, and if Jordan was receptive enough and respectful enough to the fans of Space Jam to make a cameo in the 1998 Space Jam 2, then I expect he would have done the same thing and actually appeared in a cameo in Space Jam: A New Legacy. But no, that didn't happen. Granny fights Cronus, right? I have a description and everything. Not bad, huh? And by the way, this is actually a real review from an actual film critic that actually liked A New Legacy. Thank God there's one person out there, because 99% of people despise New Legacy. Even though I love the film, I think it's a great film. I made an entire review about it. I think it's like an hour long. I think I made the longest review of Space Jam: A New Legacy on YouTube, like by far. Possibly on all of the internet, but no one cares. I mean, anyway, this is my special little video. Let me know what you guys think. Would this have been an amazing film back then? Please leave a like, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again next time. Peace.